If you look at any book on wealth creation, right? The fastest road to wealth creation is business ownership. People make money by building businesses, but it's not always cash flow that creates the wealth. It's asset creation and taxation as well.
Because you've been doing this for many years now, when you look back at some of the folks that you've helped buy that have been successful, what are some of the common themes or characteristics that when you look back at the process of working with them or seeing just how they think and operate, what have been some of the characteristics that you've seen about that person and that individual in terms of the way that they think, the way that they behave?
They are um, they're focused. They have a plan. They are they have grit. They're willing to stick with it. They are comfortable with the concept of delayed gratification. They're comfortable with keeping their eye on the long-term vision as opposed to the short-term challenges. And that's really, I think, probably very, very important. I I give an example. There's a lady that I worked with back many years ago. Probably we always think about like COVID, and then we think about 2008. Those are our time periods, right? It was prior to 2008, probably 2005 or six or something like that. Again, a lady in Florida here, and she ended up opening up a maid service. And she didn't have a lot of money to invest, but she understood how to manage people. She had a background in people management. And she opened up a maid service, invested, what was it, probably 150 back at the time to do that. And for the first 3 to 4 years, she worked hard. She reinvested her money. She hired people. She worked. She became better at what she was doing. But her goal was to build a large business that allowed her to take 4 international vacations a year. That was her goal, to get to the point where there was enough staff and money and independence out there that she could go on 4 international vacations a year, and the business would continue to operate with her, without her being there. First few years were hard. Um, Fast forward a decade after opening, she was doing around 4 million a year. She had 2 different cities that she owned, that and another city in a different part of the United States where she also wanted to live. So she opened one over there. She had one in Florida. She's in Florida half the time. She's in this other city half the time. And she's taking 4 international vacations a year. And she's working 20 hours a week. Um, and I got a lot of stories like that. But that didn't happen in the first 1 to 2 years. The reason it happened is because she had grit, she had determination, and she understood what it took to get to that vision. You look at business ownership. Business ownership, if you look at any book on wealth creation, right? The fastest road to wealth creation is business ownership. I mean, it just is. Have you heard about the Millionaire Mind? It was a follow-up book to The Millionaire Next Door. So Millionaire Next Door was by Stanley and Denko, and The Millionaire Mind was Stanley coming back and a much more robust thesis on wealth creation in the United States. People make money by building businesses, but it's not always cash flow that creates the wealth. It's asset creation and taxation as well, right? So as they're building it, once you get a business that's making $300,000 a year, you now have an asset on your balance sheet of $1 million, right? On that 3.5x, whatever it happens to be, right? So, and you have tax benefits. So you're not paying the same as somebody who had a salaried income, right? So you look at this stuff, the long-term play is to build a large business as possible. And you do that through reinvesting in people, reinvesting in marketing, reinvesting in equipment. You keep reinvesting to spur growth, because every time you make an additional dollar of income, you're creating $3.5 of wealth on the other side, right? So that's why people want to get into business from a financial point of view, but that doesn't happen in the first year. If somebody's in a cash flow mentality, where I just want a business that gives me cash flow as fast as possible, that's called a job. It's not the game of business ownership. I mean, think about like any of these, whether it's a Gates or any of these guys that we see on TV that are billionaires, right? All these people. Look at what their salary is. Their salary is what, $1 million a year or something like that. Chump change. They can't pay their property taxes for that, right? The way they created wealth was by having ownership and having that ownership increase in value. That's why they're billionaires. That's why Musk's, lost $5 billion of net worth this week, because the value of the stock went down. It wasn't his salary. The salary is not where the money is. It's the asset creation and taxation. Obviously, taxation is important too.
If you enjoyed this short clip from the podcast, you can check out another short clip right here. Or if you want to watch the full episode of this podcast, you can watch that here. And remember, knowledge is not power. It's applied knowledge that's power. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.